and welcome to Breathe Motivation. My name's Anthony Hester, and yes, this is new intro music. Figured we'd start off this episode with great new music. It's episode 200. Wasn't sure we'd quite make it here. Feels like that's a lot of episodes, but we got a lot more coming, right? So thank you guys so much for tuning in. 200 episodes is an honor. I feel like it's a great milestone to have reached, and I can't tell you how. I don't know what my experience was or what my thought process was behind Breathe Motivation and where it was going to go and how it was going to go, how long I was going to do it. And I still don't have an idea of when this thing's going to end. But at some point, I am just so grateful to have an audience that is growing and learning and getting better. And I'm so appreciative to have this opportunity to speak to tons and tons of people and to be able to coach people and to be able to, give, right? And I think that's a lot of the things in life is that, there's so many people that want to take, and I don't want to be that person. I want to be able to give my all to, my family, myself. I think giving is a powerful tool, and I want to be able to do that. So I continue to do this, not this episode. Of course, I'm going to continue this episode, but continue to do this show because I enjoy it so much. I'm so honored to be able to reach the amount of people that we have. And it's, I never would have thought that we'd grow this far, a couple 100,000 downloads. I never would have thought or never would have imagined when I started this a couple of years ago that we'd get to that point. And man, I'm just grateful. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're just starting with these shows or this show, I'm so grateful for you to tune in. And, if you've been with me for the long haul, I'm so grateful that you guys have, been on this journey with me. And I'm so, just so grateful. I can't tell you guys how much. And, the greatest honor you guys could do is share this show with family, friends, or coworkers that you think that would maybe enjoy this show or could, enjoy the messages that are on here. So thank you. Thank you. That's what I want to tell you in episode 200 is thank you guys so much for tuning in, and let's continue to go another 200 episodes. I don't know if we'll go that far, but you never know. So thank you guys so much. So I wanted to start today's episode off with a great thank you. And, I wanted to talk about something that's just been on my mind. It's constantly just going in my head. And it's funny because I was going through notes when I go through this, when I go through these episodes, I kind of write titles down. I write little notes, and sometimes I just write notes to make myself, to remember things, or I'll write little notes so that when I go back and look at them, it shows the experience of what I was going through at the time. And when I look at this and how these things go, but I wanted to read this to you because I think this is an important piece for us all to understand. And for us to grow, we've got to continue to live the life for ourselves and put our priorities in ourselves. As growing up, I was always under the impression that we always had to give to other people. I always had to be concerned about other people's feelings. And I think that is important to understand and to live that way a little bit. But I think it's important that we really set priority of ourselves, our own feelings, and, be able to handle ourselves, because if we're able to handle ourselves, the lives around us will make a big difference, right? Those people can live their best life, and we're not judging them. We're not being judged, and it allows us to continue to grow. So I wrote these notes, and this was like May 18th. I said, approval from everyone is not necessary. What I want out of life is no one else's decision. I own my life, and I own what it looks like. I do not have to agree with everyone because it makes them feel better. I'm allowed to have my own opinions. I have the capability to do good for myself and others. I do not need to feel bad for not liking things and being honest. If my intentions are pure, genuine, and not meant to hurt people, then that is the priority. I will no longer put my life as secondary priority. My priorities are to create a secure present and future for my family, Giselle and Alexander. They are the reason why I drive for success. Our family is the reason I will succeed in what I do no matter what. I will no longer look for excuses of why I'm not successful. The control I have is of myself. I will have self-respect, and I love myself no matter what. And man, it was good to read that because I was thinking those same things. There's so many times that I go through life with self-doubt. If I went through with all the self-doubt that I had in my head and the inner critic that just, beats me up sometimes, I don't think I would ever do anything. I would be, stuck. I would just be in a constant stuck pattern. And I think I see a lot of people go through this stuck pattern because you're overthinking. And I trust me, I'm the overthinker of overthinkers, and I beat myself up more than anybody else can. And I want you to know that you are great no matter what. You are great within yourself. And you've got to be able to have that belief within yourself that no matter what, you are enough. Because I think so many of us feel so empty inside sometimes. We feel so empty. We feel so alone in a world of 7 billion people. And we lose connection. We lose connection with, others. We lose connection with family, friends, things just happen, right? But I think where it all starts is we lose connection with ourselves. And in order to find that connection, you've got to be able to really reach deep inside yourself and say, what is it in life that I want? What do I want to achieve? And how do I get there? Because when you start to look at that, and first of all, tell yourself, I look in the mirror all the time and I tell myself, I love you. Because, and it sounds silly, but there was a long time that I just felt very unloved. I felt very unloved. I felt like, no matter what I did, there were tons of people that, I had friends, I had family, and no matter what, I just never believed it because I was so caught up in like this, what I call is niceness disease. I was so worried and concerned about other people, what other people thought of me. If I said the wrong things, would these people be mad at me? If I said my opinion, there'd be times I'd say my opinion, and then for weeks that thing would sit in my head and say, man, I can't believe I said that to somebody. What do you think that they're thinking? And, it was just, it was just torment and torture for myself. And I think a lot of us sit there and torment and torture ourselves. And I don't think that's fair for yourself. I don't think that's fair for anybody. So I want you to be able to look at yourself and say, hey, you know what? I, Anthony, I love you. I love you for who you are. I love you for your honesty. I love you for your vulnerability. I love you for your happiness. I love, whatever that looks like. And just tell yourself what you love about yourself, because too much self-hatred can wear on you. And that's why you feel lonely, and that's why you go through those hard times sometimes. And, and just know everybody goes through that. I go through that personally sometimes. I know I've got my family here and I love my family and they love me, but sometimes you just got to be able to be connected with yourself and say, hey, I love you, right? We don't tell ourselves that enough. We don't have enough compassion for ourselves, especially in this world and how it's created, how we look at this world and what it is right now. Like, we can always look at the positives or the negatives. I try to stay away from social media as much as possible because, man, after the Super Bowl, all I heard was, man, that show was tasteless, right? And I was just like, man, why don't you just change the channel if you don't like it? Why do you got to complain, right? There's so many times that people complain about their lives, and it's okay to complain in a sense. But at some point, you've got to know that you personally have the power to change. You personally have, we can all make such a big difference. And it's not even, you have to make a big difference in the world. That's not, not everybody's going to do that. And maybe you do, right? That one time that you make a difference in somebody else's life, then they go and pass it on, right? Pay it forward is how I look at it. So start showing yourself some compassion. Stop worrying about everything else. Stop worrying about the judgment of others. Start really respecting yourself and have that compassion for yourself to live the life that you want to. Because a lot of us get trapped in the idea of society and living the way society wants us to live, or the way that our parents want us to live. I talk to so many people that are so worried about, all the things that their parents said, oh, you need to go do this or you need to do this. And then you get so caught up in that message or that record in your head that you just stay there. You get stuck in those thoughts. And me personally, when I've gone through some personal emotional abuse from family members, and I think for a long time, that's all I heard was the voices of all the things I couldn't do or that I shouldn't do. And, I have to be really nice to everybody, which ultimately got in the way of me living my best life. And, when I look at it, it's nobody's fault. I don't want to blame anybody for those decisions, because ultimately I have the decision to move past it. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to be able to let go and have that faith that when you let that go, things will get better. And a lot of the times it gets a lot worse before it gets better. But when you go through those things and when you can trust yourself and have the faith in yourself and that confidence and compassion with yourself, you can live a better life. And you can always, you're never alone, right? There's always people out there to help you. One of the things that I always recommend to people, and well, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I always recommend therapy for people. I go to therapy personally, right? If I'm wanting to get better, so I don't have to do it alone, right? It's great to sit in therapy and have somebody that has no idea about me or who I am as a person and my life and can judge me, right? That person's not judging me. They go through this with tons of patients, right? Or tons of people, right? So that's one of those things I always recommend. It's a great thing to go through, once in your life or, whatever, right? It's the same thing. I hire a coach to get better, right? Coaches are there to help you get better. They're there to tell you, some of the things that you might not tell yourself, or they might not, they're going to give you an outside perspective of the things that you're maybe not seeing to help you get on the path of where you want to go. And I think that is a great thing to have, is that outside perspective. I very often, when I go through these little slumps, I take a lot of things personally. And that's something that I had to look at. My wife pointed that out. It's like, you're very sensitive. You always are taking, what people say, and you're kind of taking it personal, and it's not meant to be personal. It's meant to help you. And I think that's a great perspective. A lot of the things that we take personally, it's within ourselves that we feel bad about ourselves. And you've got to be able to look at those things that, if you irritated, if you get irritated, what is it that is really irritating you? What have you been holding down, and what feelings have you been stuffing down that are affecting you for so long? Because these things really, really will just sit in you. It'll sit in your stomach. It'll sit in your heart. It'll, just sit there and fester until you're able to release it and say, hey, I don't need to take this on anymore, right? Stop carrying all that extra weight on top of you, because you don't need it anymore, right? That baggage was meant to be left, 10 years ago, but here you are still carrying it around. So that's something I personally have been going through myself in the last several months. And it's probably, it's not even probably, sometimes I have to take a break from the show, because I feel like I'm going through so much personally that, that energy, I want to be able to deliver energy to you guys and be able to deliver a great show for you. And I think oftentimes, I've got to be able to step back. So if I do go on these little breaks, that's why I've got to really recharge myself. It takes a lot of energy to put into this and pour out there for you guys, and the episodes, and planning them out, and there's just a lot. But I am just appreciative of the opportunity to have this. So I want you guys to know kind of why I take these little breaks, because I think it's important for people to take those breaks, to reassess yourself, look at the things that are going on in your life and say, evaluate your life. I oftentimes write on paper what, the different aspects of life, my health, my family, my work, whatever that looks like and how that works. I take a look at those things and, see what opportunities do I have that can make it a little bit better, make it a little bit easier for me. Not even necessarily easier, but how am I going to prosper the most out of all these opportunities? How can I set priorities to be better, right? And how can I be better and have more energy? And sometimes I just got to get away, get away from these things and stay focused on, give myself that time and allowing myself to do that. And, you have the same opportunity to take that time to learn and to grow within yourself, because honestly, you have to live with yourself until you die, right? It's always going to be around. You surround yourself with good people, surround yourself ultimately with the best you. I think that's the important message here, is to have compassion for yourself. It's okay that you're not in the certain area that you thought you would be 10 years ago, or you thought your life would be better now than it was. But sometimes if you take a second and have that patience and that compassion for yourself, you'll see that your life is a lot better than you thought it would be. So take that time out to really, recharge your batteries, to get your mind right, to, keep your mental health strong, because I think that is a great aspect of life. And if your mentals aren't good, guess what? Your life's not going to be good, because it makes life that much harder, right? And life is meant to be fun and an experience to grow and get better. So that's the episode today. That's the message I wanted to share on episode 200. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, if you guys want to reach out to me on social media, Breathe Motivation, Facebook is Breathe Motivation, Instagram and Twitter at Breathe Motivate. Anthony Hester. No, it's not even Anthony Hester. It's Anthony at breathemotivation.com. So you can tune in there. My phone number is even out there. My Breathe Motivation phone number is out there on Facebook too. So if you want to call or message or text me or whatever that looks like. You guys can do that as well. I'm going to put in, I had a survey not too long or a while ago on how I can make this show better and how you tune in and what that looks like. So, feel free to jump on there, give any kind of feedback you have on there. So I'll put that in the show notes as well, because I like to get better. And as always, remember, breathe motivation and exhale success, and I will see you soon. Thanks.